Okay, so get this right. Picture a scrappy underdog story. But instead of a boxer or, a small town sports team, it's these adorable red
And
squirrels.
they're facing down a rival.
Yeah. And not just any rival, these big, tough, gray squirrels.
It's happening in our own backyard, well, at least in the UK, and it's gotten really intense.
Right, it's like this whole epic battle playing out. But here's the thing, it's not just about who gets the best nuts, it's about entire ecosystems hanging in the balance.
Exactly. We're talking about conservation, the impact of invasive species, and how we humans try to, well, sometimes nudge nature in a different direction.
So today we're diving deep, deep, deep into the world of red squirrels versus gray squirrels. And spoiler alert, it's way more fascinating and hopeful than you might think.
It really is.
I was reading these articles you sent over, and it seems like these gray squirrels, they didn't come to play around, did they?
They did not. They came from North America, and honestly, it sounds like they had some unfair advantages right out of the gate.
Right, like what made them such tough competition?
They brought this virus with them. Squirrel pox, it's called.
Catchy.
Sounds like it, right? But here's the thing. It's not a big deal for the gray squirrels. They can carry it around, no problem.
But for the red squirrels.
Totally different story, often deadly. Like, imagine bringing a cold to a party, but you're the only one immune. Not cool, right?
No, not cool at all.
So you've got this deadly virus on top of the fact that gray squirrels are just, well, they're bigger, bolder when it comes to finding food. It's a recipe for trouble for our red squirrel friends.
So it's like giving one side a superpower in a video game or something.
It really is. It's a great way to put it. And it highlights just how delicate these ecosystems are.
So how does a place like Aberdeen even begin to fight back against that? They've practically got an army of super squirrels on their hands.
They started back in 2009,
Okay.
and they haven't let up. It's incredible. They've removed a massive number of gray squirrels, something like over 10,000.
Wow, that's a lot of squirrels. How do you even begin to do that?
Well, they got strategic. Really strategic, they call it. Well, strategic trapping. And it's exactly what it sounds like.
So like setting up traps all over the place.
Yeah, but it's not random at all. That's the key.
Okay, so what makes it so strategic?
Well, remember that virus we talked about, the squirrel pox?
Yeah.
They keyed in on that, well, not the virus exactly, but the timing of it all. You see, gray squirrels have a very specific breeding season.
Uh-huh.
So the scientists in Aberdeen, they figured out a way to time the trapping to overlap with those breeding times.
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
By targeting squirrels during those crucial periods, right, when they're trying to, make more squirrels, they're basically cutting off the population at the source.
Wow, that's actually kind of brilliant. Talk about knowing your enemy. But here's a question for you, because I always thought, and maybe I'm wrong here, that red squirrels were, I don't know, more like country squirrels. Can they really make it in a city?
That's a really common misconception, actually. We picture those idyllic forests, but the research actually shows that red squirrels are surprisingly adaptable.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. As long as they got trees to climb, places to build their drays, and enough food, they can thrive.
Huh. Who knew? So are they saying that red squirrels are like perfectly happy living in busy parks and back gardens?
Exactly. That's what's happening in Aberdeen.
Amazing.
It is. I mean, it's like the city's becoming this unexpected haven for them.
That is so cool. And speaking of the city, you mentioned something before about how the people of Aberdeen have really been a part of this whole thing. That's kind of amazing, isn't it?
It really is. And honestly, it's one of the coolest parts of this whole story. Because, even with the best plan, even with the smartest scientists, you can't be everywhere at once. You need more eyes on the ground.
Right, right. You need a whole army of squirrel spotters.
Exactly.
But how do you even organize something like that?
Well, Aberdeen had this really smart approach. They got the entire community involved. Like, they actually had residents reporting squirrel sightings.
No.
Yeah, and they used that information, those everyday observations, to really fine-tune their efforts.
That's so cool. So it wasn't just scientists in a lab somewhere. It was like a team effort.
Right, and they used initiatives like that. They had this great Scottish squirrel survey. It was this whole thing.
Catchy.
And it gave them this incredible detailed picture of what was happening with the squirrel population.
It's like it takes a village. Or in this case, it takes a city to save a squirrel. I love that.
Me too.
But it makes you wonder, if they can pull it off in Aberdeen, what about other places? I mean, there are invasive species everywhere causing all sorts of chaos.
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think Aberdeen gives everyone a lot of hope.
Yeah.
It shows that this kind of thing can be done. That even with these huge, complex ecological challenges, with enough scientific know-how and community support and, yeah, a lot of hard work, we can actually push back. It's really inspiring.
It is inspiring. And you know what? I think it's a good reminder that we all have a part to play in this. I mean, if those red squirrels can make a comeback, who knows what else is possible?
Exactly. And what role do we want to play in those comebacks? It's a question worth thinking about.
It really is.